This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Spreaker. You want to get your free trial of Spreaker to upload your podcasts? All you need to do is click on the link in the description to find out more. Yeah, so it's been hot where you are by the sounds of it, but it's been cold in Australia. Like last Thursday, it was 5 degrees in where I was. That was pretty cold all day and pretty chilly. How are you coping with the heat in Atlanta, Georgia?
Well, we've just started getting hot in the last few weeks, but Atlanta's pretty well known for being hot and humid. And so it's starting to get up there. So the days are around 89 or 90 degrees, and the humidity is usually fairly high. And so it's usually a mix of hot days, but then we'll have thunderstorms and things like that to cool things off.
How do you cope with sleeping in the night when it's hot? Because I struggle with that.
Well, we just use air conditioning. It would be pretty much impossible to go without air conditioning in the South and in Georgia. So I know up as far as like New York State, some people don't use air conditioning, but that wouldn't be possible down here.
Any sleeping tips for the audience in a hot night? Because I had Rev Skip Jennings on the show, and we're talking about this, like turning off electronics as well, and just staying hydrated. So I might try that. Even getting a cloth, putting a cold towel on top of the head, cool you down. Yeah,
I think that's a great idea. I usually don't have any issue with the heat and sleep. I do have learned through the years some good sleep tips. I used to have quite a bit of issues with insomnia, and that sort of seemed to go hand in hand with the anxiety that kind of put me on my healing journey. And so I discovered quite a few different tips for sleep, but one of the areas that was really helpful for me was learning about probiotics and gut health. And what I learned was that serotonin, a lot of our serotonin, which is our feel-good neurotransmitter chemical, is also produced in the gut. And so when that goes low, our body doesn't produce enough melatonin, which it uses the serotonin to produce melatonin, which is our sleep hormone. And so eating things with tryptophan and things like that can help to boost serotonin and then help you get to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I might try these things as the summertime comes later in the year for Australia as well. But I've always found technology devices get very hot.
Yeah.
I've also started things like I'm on a journey of only using social media for 10 minutes a day now. I feel so bad. I feel much better.
That sounds like a great idea. And did you have any withdrawals when you first started?
No. I just mental health feels much better getting off Facebook and Instagram. I just feel better.
Nice.
Excellent. And I'm on a 21-day gratitude challenge at the moment. So every morning, got to write my 3 to 10 things that I'm grateful for as well. So doing those little things.
That's great. Yeah, gratitude is it's important to keep things in perspective for sure.
How do you feel about social media, and because all your stuff's online as well?
Yeah, I use it so much for work, and sort of when I put out a new song or something new, I'll post it on social media. And so I usually post something on Instagram daily and things like that. So, but I don't really tune into my personal account as much. So, but I think it's designed, of course, to be addictive, and so I definitely find myself in phases kind of just tuning into it a little too much, just because I'm bored or something. So I think you're onto something. A social media fast sounds like a great idea.
No, it's good. No, because I've noticed on Instagram, people taking glamorous photos just messes with my mental health. Sonic Yogi. It was just making me depressed. I've only really followed teachers from Insight Timer, and that's about it. And those are the ones that make me feel good.
Nice.
But I'm been using Insight Timer quite a lot lately. I'm a yearly subscriber to the app as well, so I'm very happy.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of work on the app and adding some new features, and so yeah, I'm grateful to be there, and I use it quite a bit myself as well.
And online work, what are you working on online? Are you recording any new stuff and publishing it?
I just finished a flute track. I have some new flutes, and I've been recording some tracks with those. And I'm working on a new album, and I started recording that last week, and so I hope to have that out by the beginning of next year. And so those are a couple of things I've been working on.
Nice. Yeah, what about education as well? Are you reading anything? Because I'm trying to get into the habit of reading, journal articles by professors as much as I can every day.
I read quite a bit of that kind of stuff when I research. I Google, and I love reading research articles and things like that. It just kind of depends on what tangent I'm on and what I'm researching. I haven't been thinking about it this week, so I don't have anything that comes right to the tip of my mind. But yeah, it's interesting, and as it relates to meditation and all of that, there's so many interesting studies that are coming out all the time about how it all works.
How's things in Atlanta, Georgia? Are you guys in a lockdown, or are you getting back to normal? Because we're pretty much virtually back to normal in Sydney. What about you guys?
Yeah, it's we're basically back to normal here. We still wear masks in certain stores, but it seems like in the last week or so that now it's about half and half of the people that are even wearing masks in stores. And so we're quickly getting back to some sense of normalcy.
Have you been vaccinated yet?
I have.
What did you got the Johnson & Johnson, did you?
I did.
Is that good? Is that because that's a single shot. Does that give you herd immunity, or they don't know?
Well, it gives you some immunity. That's sort of its purpose. But how good it is, I hope I don't have to find out. But I think the more and more people that get the shots, or people that have had COVID, that builds the herd immunity, and so that the virus doesn't spread because it gets stopped. So the numbers are, steadily going down. I've logged into the state website a few times just to see, and they're steadily going down and down and down, almost to nothing. So,
did they give you a card to say that you had it, or have they given you a vaccine passport in the States? Because there's talks of that in Australia.
Yeah, I don't know how that would go over here, to be honest. So that should be interesting. But I have a vaccine card myself, yeah, and I saved it.
Good on you. I'll most likely be getting mine at the end of the year, because they're giving it to the elderly people first. But yes, nice. I want to get mine.
And do you know what kind you'll get?
Most likely the Pfizer, because of my age, 27. That's just 2 shots. So I want to get it and want life to return to normal.
Yeah. And how are things there?
Things are actually like we don't have to wear masks in the shops anymore. Like, the shops are getting quite busy. They're easing the social distancing. I know in the US you guys weren't strict with that social distancing. I think you got to wear a mask on the public transport, but that's it.
Yeah, it was not as strict here, and especially from what I understand, related to Australia. So I think they had a little harder time implementing those types of measures. And then there was, of course, a certain segment of people that were like, no way, I'm not going to do that. So that made it a little more difficult, but it is what it is. That's how it goes.
No, well, that's it. There's nothing you can do. Yeah. Yeah, no, I was reading some like a book from the Great Courses Plus. They're all professors. I was reading stuff on infectious diseases, and this was published about, I think, 3-4 years ago, and the topic of coronavirus came up, and exactly what it is today. Said it's going to spread like with air travel. And most likely that was going to be a pandemic, because that's from the SARS and the MERS. I was like, shit. Whoa. So this was this professor, I think, was telling that we were going to be in a pandemic, and he was right.
Amazing.
There could be in the future a bioterroristic attack too. Yeah, you don't know what they're holding in those laboratories.
No, we definitely do not.
It's scary.
Yeah. Well, we just take one day at a time. Certainly didn't know what was coming last year. And the whole kind of event, I think, was a reminder to myself just to take it one day and one moment at a time, because things are always changing.
Yeah, not reading the newspaper. I hate that thing. Or the news, or... you read the news?
I see stuff occasionally on the internet, but I don't have a habit of just reading it.
There's a lot of fake news in the media too, twisting the words around from the Prime Minister.
Mm-hmm.
But how's President Joe Biden going for you guys?
Seems to be going well. It's maybe hard for you to I guess imagine it since you're over there, but it was just like so much daily drama before, and now it's just like kind of boring and like that. So it's actually a welcome change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he seems to be doing his job well.
I don't know, Sonic Yogi, CNN, I stay away from all that. CNN and... terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, no, I was doing some research on Bill Clinton as well. You remember Bill Clinton?
And it says poor connection here.
Oh.
There we go.
You're good?
Yeah, it's good now.
Yeah. Yeah, Bill Clinton was an interesting one.
What did you learn?
You remember the affair with Monica Lewinsky and he denied it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he was really having an affair with her.
Yeah.
And George Bush too, like I was watching a show on Amazon Prime called Declassified. And remember 9/11?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all George Bush was talking about was just war all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand the American political system.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of people that feel the same way.
See, in Australia, we just do our votes, and that's it. It's not a popularity contest in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there was the G7 summit as well. Joe Biden went, and the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, as well. But, yeah, no, it's interesting time.
Definitely.
But most likely Donald Trump is going to run for president again.
Yeah, that should be interesting. I guess we'll find out in a few more years.
But, yeah, meditation for me too. I've been listening to a lot of Tibetan singing bowls.
Mm-hmm.
They're good for the mind.
Yeah, definitely. That I think so.
Yeah, I've got Spotify as well. Got my playlist. You've got music on Spotify too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm on Spotify as well, and releasing new music there as well.
Yeah, me too. I got my personal music on Spotify as well.
Nice. And I saw that you won an award.
Yeah, I'll show you now. First place.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you, but I wanted the prize money. I wanted the $10,000 and they wouldn't give it to me. No, but it's good. It's good to have a prize, show people I've done something, and I've got my bio too on my website as well. Yeah, that was from the 2020 songwriting competition.
Nice, very good.
For my first single, Death and Life, that I published. So yeah, gave it a go.
Nice.
But I wanted to talk about, Spotify. I've used, have you heard of CD Baby?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've started using them. You just pay the one-off flat fee and it's out there forever. But I'm finding to put my work on Spotify, it's literally costing me money. And it's doing this to all the artists. And how do you get all that back in royalties? This is what I don't get.
Yeah, you find it's costing you money?
Yeah. I've only got 2 monthly listeners.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, well, it takes a little time, I guess, to build up the audience, but and Spotify, I think they're getting better and better about paying. And there was a little bit of a controversy a while back where the CEO said something about, the artists couldn't just put out a record every 4 years or whatever. And I think there was some pushback from the artists. I think with the ability for people to record digitally and in various places and not have to go to a studio as much as in the past, that it is possible to release music a little more. And so I guess they're moving their model to that kind of frequency. And so I think that may help with helping to build the audience there as well.
Yeah, slowly over time. How long has it taken for you to get your audience with your work on SoundCloud and Spotify?
Well, in the beginning, I just started posting music on SoundCloud, and I wasn't really thinking of the music that I make as Sonic Yogi as really an ambitious effort. I was just producing it because I thought it was healing, and I would just post it out there for free as just a way to really share with people. And SoundCloud's got such a great platform for sharing and all of that. So I would post on SoundCloud, and I think over a few years I began to build up more of an audience and noticed that it was getting some momentum on SoundCloud. So that sort of inspired me to continue. And I did. So I think I've been on SoundCloud for 8 years or so, or something like that. And have built, a nice group of listeners there. And then, of course, Insight Timer was a great blessing, and I have been there for probably around 5 or 6 years. And they've continued to grow the app, so it's been nice to grow along with them.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've only been on for 1 year, so I'm still trying to, building the audience too. So that comes with time, does it?
In some cases, yeah. I really just feel like my job is to make the music that I like and do the best job I can. And put it out there. I've been in music for quite a long time, and I had a group before as well that produced music. And so, over the years, I feel like I've come to the feeling that I really just want to produce what sits well with my heart and that I feel I enjoy and that will be useful to other people. And I feel like if I can, fit that box or fit that mold in my own intention, then hopefully it will grow, but at least I'll feel like I'm producing what I'd like to.
See, that's the thing with us creative people. It's very easy to create and publish, but then when it comes to the marketing, and selling it, that's the where I struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
How have you been with marketing?
I think I've done pretty well, but like I said, some of the partners like SoundCloud and Insight Timer have really helped along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there are people and courses and systems out there to help with marketing, but a lot of those systems seem to come and go. And what really doesn't change is producing something that you like and that resonates. And so I try to let producing the best music I can be the marketing as well. And hopefully over time, and that'll spread and people will tell other people. The internet, though, is a great opportunity in terms of, the shareability of things and the ability for things to grow. So putting things out on YouTube or Spotify or whatever it is, there's always that possibility.
See, I can tell you an interesting story. Last year when I was publishing on SoundCloud, I was trying to get an interview with, the newspapers or radio stations. Got a lot of rejection, but then one day, Neil Duty from Arts Cafe FM, a small community station, came across my work, Judas, sent me an email. And so that was my first ever radio interview. And he came across that on SoundCloud. That was pretty cool.
Nice.
I was very happy. Very happy.
Excellent.
But yeah, it's it's a competitive thing, Spotify, because if you get people who have got, say, 1 million odd followers on their account, they get noticed more in their algorithm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely a snowball effect, the way the algorithms work. So, over time, as the audience builds, it seems that it can continue to grow. I think every musician or everybody that produces something is, hoping for the best. And wants as many people to hear their work as possible. So I'm sure that as you continue to produce and grow, you're already winning awards. And
I wanted the money, mate. Needed the money, update the equipment. But no, I was very happy for the award. It's a good achievement as well. It's good for your reputation. But I had Yuval Ron. He's a musician on Insight Timer. We were talking about the music industry, what's going on today. It's becoming a hobby now because there's not a lot of work out there for musicians. And with the royalties as well, it's ripping artists off. Even the big artists like Eminem, 50 Cent. And I wanted to that's why I bring up the Spotify thing too, and how you feel about your royalties.
Well, I've kind of just watched as the whole industry's changed. When I started, digital music was not really much of a thing yet. And then as it grew, it turned into Napster. And then everybody was worried that file sharing would cause the music industry to implode. And then gradually over the years, then Spotify and Apple Music, and things became more and more legit. And then people were complaining about the royalties. And I understand all that. They're definitely legitimate complaints. I do feel that there's a potential for growth around the world, though, with people around the world have cell phones and they have ways to really tune into these services. And so as the audience grows, I think I was reading something that the total streaming was around 300 million or something like that. And in terms of people that were subscribing to services. So as that grows, and there's certainly, a lot of room for growth, then perhaps that can offset some of the royalties. And also, I'm sure that if there's some inequity there, people raising their voice and continuing to look at the system will help that to move in the direction of more equity for the artist. So, yeah, I believe there are problems now, but I'm also hopeful.
No, and I wanted your opinion on that too,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's my opinion. That I think it will continue to grow, and so I feel actually positive that there are these platforms where I can record my work and essentially put it out, and I'm super grateful just to have that ability to put it out. When I started, not to date myself too much, but of course things were CDs.
Yeah.
And so in my first group, we would print like 1,000 CDs and then go out and sell them at gigs, and we would make money that way. And then we eventually met a manager, Steve, and Steve worked for I think Warner Music. Or something like that, and his job was actually in distribution. But then he was working to get into the management side of things too, and we worked with him for a little while artistically. But in distribution, there were all of these different ways to go from selling, basically out of your car or at gigs like we were doing, to getting distributed in the stores. And back then, there were stores like Barnes and Noble here in the States, or Borders Books, and they were kind of like chain stores where they would have a lot of music. And so it was a big deal to get your CD into those stores, but you would have to go through certain channels. And Steve knew something about, how to go through those channels. But one of the ways to do it was you would apply to have your music distributed, which, was a big deal to even get picked up with a distributor. If you could get it carried through an independent distributor. And then if you got a distributor, then you would have the ability to get in the stores. And once you had the ability to get in the stores, then you would have the opportunity to apply for things like that were called end caps, which were the sort of display at the end of the record aisle. And, if you had a new album or whatever, you could apply for that end cap, and then people would see your new album. And so the other part of that was that if you were able to get through that application process, then you would have to produce enough CDs for them, which might be like 20 or 50,000 CDs, which, that's a lot more than the 1,000 CDs at a time that the average indie artist was coming up with. and then you would also have to pay to be on that end cap. So I guess my point is there was a huge amount of sort of hurdles to jump through, and then even if you got through the hurdles, there was a huge investment of capital up front, and in hopes of kind of moving that product. And so that's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people making that whole industry go. And so as an artist, I think the ability to record music and then put it out and build an audience through something like Spotify or SoundCloud is just amazing. And it's really it's an amazing time for musicians to be creative and to do things that are out of the box and experiment. And it's not going to cost them, hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever to, make a go of something. The ability to do it for much less of a budget, and to also make an impact is there. So,
because I find a lot of the distributors that become a business and a subscription thing. That's why I've moved to CD Baby, because at least with CD Baby I pay 50 Australian dollar because they're US, and it's out there forever. Was using Ditto, but then they're charging $20-$30 a year, but then they can just take that down if you don't renew, and that's not fair. That's what pisses me off about them. They just want to make money.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that. Interesting. Well, CD Baby's been a great company for so many years, and
it's trial and error, Sonic Yogi, because when you're starting out, you don't know.
True.
So it's a learning thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But SoundCloud's good. I've got work on SoundCloud as well. But then they charge, it's about then $99 a year if you want to go over the free storage they've given you. So I stopped.
Yeah, I think of SoundCloud as sort of a place to put out my, some live tracks and some experimental things, and kind of put it out there and see what the feedback is like.
What about Bandcamp? Have you got stuff on Bandcamp? Because I've got all my works on Bandcamp as well.
Yep, I have a Bandcamp as well.
Good on you.
Them too.
At least it's not costing you money to have your work there, They just take a commission out of your sale, and that's it. And that's good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this is the business side to music. Have you got stuff on the royalty-free music sites where you just sell it for like a one-off fee and that's it? You don't have to worry about collecting royalties. Because I've started doing that.
I'm sorry, I think I missed a little bit there because of the connection. Were you asking if I have my music there?
Yeah, on royalty-free music sites.
I believe there is some out there, and I do also allow people to use my music under Creative Commons licensing.
Yep.
And so what that means is that they're able to use it for any non-commercial purpose as long as they give me a credit and a link to my website.
I've just put it up there, and I'll just sell it for a one-off fee, and that's it. They can have it forever and do what they want. I'll put them on Pond 5, and there's Motion Elements where I've started distributing as well. But I was advised to me by a film composer to do that, not sell your work so too cheap as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. I guess each artist has to decide. There are things called music libraries too, and if you sign with the music library, then they basically keep your music in their file, but they'll pitch it to different projects for licensing, which could be a decent amount of income as well.
Just imagine you get $1,000 for a track. That'd be so cool.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Royalty free. But it's interesting. But as time goes, I'll grow my following as well. So that'll be good. And yes, and have you gonna publish any more stuff on Insight Timer?
Yes, I think I mentioned I just finished a flute track, and so I'm creating an hour version of that for sleep, as well as some meditation versions. And I'm set to release some other back catalog meditations that were previously in the Daily Insights. And so I'm going to release those as well. And I have probably 10 projects or so that I'm working on at the moment in terms of tracks. And so over the next few months, I'll release those.
Awesome. Look forward. Are they still doing the Daily Insight as well?
They've retired the Daily Insight. And so I believe some of the different teachers and artists were wanting to release those tracks through the normal profile. And so that's going to be possible soon.
Yeah, I've noticed you've been live streaming on Insight Timer as well, and playing music. How do you feel about that?
I've been enjoying it. It's been great during the pandemic to stay creative and get to share. And so I've been streaming music and creating sound baths and sort of meditative music. And also I've been starting to do some that are talk-based and do some teaching about meditation and some things like that.
Insight Timer 2 is allowing teachers to do mentoring too.
Yes, exactly. And I'm grateful for that. That's sort of building up steam, I think. So I've been doing one-on-one mentoring, and I'm set up for that. And also soon we'll start offering group sessions. So for multiple people.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, and if any of the audience are listening, go book a mentoring session with Sonic Yogi. Definitely recommend that as well. Now, that'd be good that the teachers... It's not all teachers are offering it, that's the thing. On Insight Timer.
Yeah, I believe that they're starting with a smaller group of teachers, and I don't know what their plans will be moving forward, but I would assume that they'll continue to expand. No,
that'll be very, very good. You know, I'm very happy to pay my yearly subscription to Insight Timer. Yeah, I'm just happy with them.
Yeah, great company, and I've enjoyed working with them. And they're continuing to grow, but I can tell that even as they grow, they're holding on to the same integrity in terms of working with people. So that's nice to see.
Yeah, not all tech companies have the integrity, which is a shame.
Yeah, definitely.
They want to get greedy like Mark Zuckerberg and get all your personal information and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. The Australian government cracked down on Facebook. Did you know that?
No. What happened?
You know how Facebook was getting involved in personal information? The government, I think they brought out a new policy about news and all that. It's complicated.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's become a thing, Sonic Yogi, where, like, you get your Facebook friends and then they post photos of them at an engagement party. I don't know. I don't want to know what you're doing with your personal life, you know, or... It's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
All glitterous and glamoury. That's what it does.
Yeah.
You know, but it's... I don't know. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, no, because we just don't have privacy anymore on the internet. I mean, I've switched from... I used to use Google, but now I'm using DuckDuckGo because I'm just fed up of being bombarded with advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Google's actually selling all your data to advertising companies.
Yeah, it's interesting how, you know, when you just search for something, then you start seeing ads. Sometimes it almost feels like if you even think about something, you start seeing ads.
Weird. Artificial intelligence of the future. It's getting weird. You know, wouldn't surprise me if, I don't know, 10 years or 20 years there'd be robots walking around. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
At a restaurant as well.
At a restaurant?
You imagine that, a robot doing all the cooking, replacing all the jobs. It's possible.
I'm sure. Yeah.
You know, look at Tesla. They're trying to make the car, like, drive automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're not quite there yet, but they're on their way.
Mm-hmm.
Would you ever own a Tesla if you had the opportunity?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Problem is, you can't take them to an ordinary mechanic. That sucks.
Yeah. I guess you have to go to the dealership.
Electric cars. No, it's an amazing invention what Elon Musk has done, but they're not... I have doubts about owning them.
Well, what do you think about that?
How do you fuel them up to as well? And if you put it on auto drive and then the camera doesn't pick up the traffic and then boom, it crashes.
Well, definitely concerned.
I've sat in a Tesla in the shopping centre. I think they were displaying and they had this huge, I think it's like a satellite computer of like Google Maps in there. Mm-hmm. It's pretty much a computer thing. But yeah, it's interesting too, like SpaceX. You heard of SpaceX?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they trying to get this rocket to land virtually horizontal on a landing pad. Mm-hmm. Send astronauts to Mars. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, it's fascinating. All of that's becoming private, so it'll be interesting to see how that develops.
Exactly. But yeah, the podcast, I've got my own intro and outro music to the show I've created as well. And I'm very happy for the podcast.
Nice.
But yeah, I'll wrap it up there. What have you got coming up in the next couple of months to let the audience know?
Well, like I mentioned, I'm just continuing to produce music. I'll be releasing tracks frequently on Insight Timer, and I'm also working on a new album for the beginning of next year, and I'm working on a new course that I'll release after that.
Awesome. I look forward to hearing your course on Insight Timer as well, and any future work that you've got coming up, even if you're going to do some talks as well. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yes, definitely. I have a few talks scheduled for the lives as well, and that's a little bit different for me, so I hope you'll check it out.
Will do. Look, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Always a pleasure to talk with you, Stephen. Thank you.
Always good to have you. All right, thank you for listening to the podcast today. Don't forget your podcasts are out every Friday. Thank you to the sponsor, Spreaker. If you want your free trial of Spreaker, just click on the link in the description to find out more. Also, if you could share this podcast on your social media, if you'd like, you can send a donation to my GoFundMe page. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. See you later.